Few political decisions in modern history have been as fiercely debated as Neville Chamberlain's policy of appeasement. As Prime Minister of Britain in the critical years before World War II, Chamberlain became synonymous with a strategy that sought to prevent war by conceding to some of Adolf Hitler's demands. While intended to preserve peace, appeasement ultimately failed to halt Nazi aggression, and today, it stands as a cautionary tale about the dangers of underestimating dictators and sacrificing principles for short-term stability. The origins of appeasement. In the aftermath of World War I, Britain and much of Europe were deeply reluctant to face another conflict. The Great War had left millions dead, economies shattered, and a generation traumatized. In this context, many British leaders and citizens viewed diplomacy and compromise as not just preferable, but necessary. Neville Chamberlain, who became Prime Minister in 1937, was a strong believer in peace through negotiation. He feared that war would be catastrophic for the British Empire, which was still recovering economically and militarily. He also believed that some of Germany's grievances, such as the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, were legitimate and could be addressed without resorting to arms. Key moments of appeasement. The policy of appeasement reached its peak during the Sudetenland crisis of 1938. Hitler demanded that Czechoslovakia surrender the Sudetenland, a region with a large ethnic German population. Chamberlain, seeking to avoid war, met with Hitler 3 times in September 1938. The result was the Munich Agreement, signed on September 30, 1938. Britain and France agreed to allow Germany to annex the Sudetenland in exchange for Hitler's promise of no further territorial ambitions. Chamberlain returned to London proclaiming he had secured peace for our time. However, just 6 months later, Hitler broke his promise by occupying the rest of Czechoslovakia. The illusion of peace was shattered, and appeasement was exposed as a failure. Chamberlain's motives and miscalculations. Critics often portray Chamberlain as naive or weak, but his actions were shaped by the realities of the time. Britain's military was not yet prepared for a major war, and public opinion strongly favored avoiding conflict. Chamberlain believed that buying time through diplomacy would allow Britain to rearm and prepare, if war became inevitable. However, he drastically misjudged Hitler's ambitions. While Chamberlain believed he was dealing with a rational statesman, Hitler was committed to aggressive expansion and war. Appeasement only emboldened the Nazi regime, giving it more time to strengthen its forces and pursue its goals with greater confidence. The end of appeasement. The final blow to appeasement came in March 1939, when Germany invaded the rest of Czechoslovakia. Britain finally abandoned its conciliatory approach and guaranteed Polish independence. When Hitler invaded Poland on September 1, 1939, Britain and France declared war on Germany 2 days later. Chamberlain remained Prime Minister until May 1940, when military setbacks in Norway and the fall of France led to his resignation. He was succeeded by Winston Churchill. Reassessing Chamberlain's legacy. In the years immediately following World War II, Chamberlain was widely condemned. His name became synonymous with cowardice and failed diplomacy. However, more recent historical interpretations have offered a more nuanced view. Some scholars argue that appeasement delayed war long enough for Britain to improve its air defenses and naval power, contributions that proved vital in the Battle of Britain. Others point out that Chamberlain acted in line with public opinion and within the limits of Britain's capabilities at the time. Still, the central lesson remains clear. Appeasing aggressive dictators does not guarantee peace. It may only delay and worsen an inevitable conflict. Conclusion. Neville Chamberlain's policy of appeasement is one of the most controversial strategies in 20th century diplomacy. Though rooted in a desire to prevent the horrors of another world war, it ultimately failed to stop Hitler's rise and expansion. Today, appeasement serves as both a historical example and a warning. Peace must be pursued with wisdom, strength, and a clear understanding of one's adversaries.